Isolation variation. I found it really interesting to work on the interpretation with you because what the music makes me want to do is not what the intention of the expression is meant to be.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
that that duality is important in playing the piece. If you go all in one direction, you kind of lose that hypnotic aspect that you mentioned when we talked about it at length right after it was written for the premiere. And if you disconnect yourself too much, you lose the drive. So the piece is a combination of um, sort of this hypnotic stasis and the desire for forward momentum, which I think is really indicative of the idea behind it. The image that I had from what you described was that the isolation is not a source of desperation. It's not a source of frustration. It's sort of the daily practice of being a musician, a little bit repetitive, day to day. At least this is how I internalized it.
No, you've totally,
Kind
that's
of,
exactly it. That's exactly it.
it's kind of about that experience when you don't have the outlet, but you have the process. And so for me, um, I'm very outlet oriented as a player. So it's interesting also for me to explore in this piece being fine with being in process in a performance, if that makes sense.
Wow. It does make sense. It's just, I don't have a chance to think of the piece as as much as I try. I really imagine a performer and performers when I write, but yeah, that's so interesting to hear you approach it that way. And it's reminding me of our initial conversations when I first gave you the piece. And my experience of those first conversations was that you were the most thoughtful artist I'd ever given any piece to. Our first conversation, we're like, okay, here I have 3 different ways I can approach this, and each of them were as interesting and correct. And you were just like, and in this measure, it should be like this, right? And like you had it all worked out, and I was just amazed. So